Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for being here today. My name is Angelo Gargaro, and I'm the Director of Student Conduct and Student Affairs at Point Park. I'm here today just to facilitate and moderate this webinar with some really good friends of mine at Point Park. It is members of the Center for Student Success, specifically the support services area, covering the tutoring center, accessibility services, and student intervention. We also have the Assistant Vice President of the Center for Student Success, Molly McClellan, here. And basically today, we're going to just present you information from across these different support areas in the Center for Student Success, give you some of that information that you might be seeking out. But then the really important part of this experience is going to be you having the ability to ask us any questions that you have. So let me just dive into some really quick housekeeping and rules here before we go through and introduce the crew. So right now, everybody is muted and nobody has a webcam feature available. So don't worry about how you look or if there's dogs or kids barking and talking, whatever in the background. We won't see you, we won't hear you. If you have questions for us, and we hope that you do, you can ask us questions by going into the GoToWebinar control panel that should be up on your screen. There is a questions tab that you can click on, and you can start submitting those questions now. I will moderate those questions after we do the informational piece here at the front end, and we'll try to answer as many of these as possible in this 1 hour time frame. If for some reason we get a lot of questions and we can't answer them in this time frame, we will have a report of those questions and we will email you outside of this webinar and get you some of those answers. The last thing is, beyond congratulating you for heading into our Point Park community, some of you may have already done a webinar with us. We have gone through and had webinars for the different programs and schools at the university. So if you were in those, thanks for coming back in, and why don't we get started? So I'm happy to introduce you all to Molly McClellan, who's the AVP over there in the Center for Student Success. Molly, hello.
I think more importantly, this is Wendell, uses they, them pronouns. So, Wendell, female by birth, gender fluid by design. And so that is how I would like to welcome everybody who is here to meet with us today. So the center is really a very inclusive space, one that we pride ourselves in being very available to students and open to you from before you come to our campus and until the time that you graduate, and certainly in the beauty of our roles. One of the joys is that we so often get to continue to be a part of your lives even beyond graduation. So I think that that's the beauty of being at a small school like Point Park. I am just a small part of an amazing team of professionals that are here with you today. We practice what we preach, in that we understand that being a success means a lot of different elements of life need to come together. And that's part of the human experience and certainly part of the student experience. And so I'm grateful to be a part of such a remarkable crew and a remarkable institution. And so I will let each of those individuals introduce themselves to you. I did want to note that from the Center for Student Success side, you should have heard already from your Student Success Coordinator. So they are the person that is responsible for creating, if you're a freshman student, your first semester schedule. If you're a transfer student, they will assist you if you needed assistance. So that part of your journey is pretty much underway. But I'm grateful to see so many of you here to also learn about what else we have to offer. So it's not just about academics, but it's about the community that surrounds your experience at Point Park. And so I will start with Michael Elko to introduce yourself and talk about the work that you do at Point Park.
Hi, everybody. First of all, welcome to Point Park. We'll see you in about a month, I guess. And I might see some of you in your pardon me?
33 days until the semester starts. So I guess we'll see them.
You're counting them down. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see you. We're going to see you soon, and I might even see some of you in my University 101 course, because I I'm the director of tutoring services, but I also teach University 101, and that's a course every incoming student has to take. So I'll see, hopefully I'll see some of you there who are in this webinar. Tutoring services, it's a little bit of a misnomer, but we provide tutoring services, but we provide even more resources than that. So we have a tutoring center and a writing center. In the tutoring center, we have professional and peer tutors, some adjuncts who work there who provide help with subjects, and those are in the STEM or STEAM, I'll say now, classes. And there's also the writing center. And the writing center has writing consultants who help students with any stage in the writing process. In addition, we have an online writing inbox where you can submit papers if you don't want to meet one-on-one with the writing consultant, either in person or virtually. You can submit a paper for review and they'll work with you that way. I want to emphasize that we always will be providing in person and online help. So we use a simple scheduler that you will all sign up for, hopefully at orientation. I'll see you there, and it's a quick and easy way to sign up for the tutoring scheduler so that you can schedule your own appointments at the tutoring center or writing center. Now, we would love to offer coverage in every class, but we don't, but we offer dozens of classes, and we certainly will offer the majority of classes you are taking as a freshman student, because that first year is so important and it's a big transition for you, and we're here to help you with your academic requirements and get you over any bumps, and we help you even with more than academics. Just come in and visit us and you'll become part of the gang. So in addition, I just want to tell you the services we offer. So we have writing center, tutoring center, but we also have academic coaching. If you find yourself having struggles with one course, or one or two courses, you generally just need a tutor. If you're having issues globally, you can come in and we'll assess you, and you may be paired with an academic coach who will help you develop the executive function skills you need to be on top of to succeed in college. And that's planning, organization, chaos control, everything. So it's like the CEO center of your brain. We help you hone those skills, and we can farm you out to tutors as needed, if needed. In addition to that, we offer embedded tutoring. I know for Biology 101, I don't know if any of you are taking that the first semester, but it's quite different than your high school Biology 101. We have an embedded tutor for that. And then we also, for other courses, I won't go through that all. And then we also offer something called supplemental instruction, and that's where we work with professors who have a need to for students to have an additional time outside of class with help. And those are generally the difficult math classes. Like statistics is tough. For those of you who are great at statistics who are in the audience, I admire you. I really do. But most students need some extra help with that. So we offer something called supplemental instruction, and that's a breakout session that occurs about 90 minutes after one of your class sessions in a room near your class. So I think that's my big intro. We're located in West Penn Hall. You guys will become familiar with the campus once you get on ground, but I just want to throw it out there. West Penn Hall. You can always find out more information about tutoring services by just going to Point Park's main website and just type in the search box tutoring, and it'll pull up more information for you. And I forgot to create a ta-da, I'm done moment. Ta-da, I'm done! No.
And just to let everybody know, yeah. I have put the tutoring website link in the chat. I've also, as everybody starts talking on the panel, I'm going to link their specific department's websites and their emails as well. So that's going to be in there for everybody to see. So awesome. So far, so good. I think we have Hannah up next.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. My name is Hannah Colbert. I'm the Director of Student Intervention here at Point Park. So I like to preface this by saying, because I've heard from students that my title sounds kind of scary when it comes across an email or when I'm talking to you. So I want to clarify, I'm not a scary person or a scary place to come and talk with me. I am a huge support person for you and can link you to whoever you need to make a connection with if I'm not the person that you need to talk to. So I do that by making referrals to Tutoring Center with Michael for academic support. I also refer quite a bit to the Counseling Center. So we do see a lot of times throughout your career, not just as a freshman, but you know, this is a big transition period for you. So a lot of the times we might be struggling academically, but that's not the only problem that we're having. So in my role, I'm monitoring through a system that we call Point Web. That's a communication piece that I use with your faculty and staff to help monitor and kind of communicate about any concerns that any student might have throughout their time here at Point Park. And what I do with that concern that they bring forward is I talk with your success coordinator. So you should have already heard from them by now, but I talk with them, and one of us, myself or your success coordinator, follows up with you as a check-in to see how we can help support you. Because like I said, we know, you know, if you're struggling to go to class, it's usually not the only issue you're having. It might be struggling to find a work-life balance with going to classes. If you're working full-time, part-time, whatever, it can be a lot, especially initially, to kind of figure out how to manage all of the things. So that's really what I am utilized for on campuses, to help you manage life as a student and get you connected to the resources that we have on campus to help you succeed. And that is my goal, the Student Success Center's goal, and it's in our name, you know, to help you succeed. So I want to keep that in mind as we move forward throughout the semester. It's never a scary thing to reach out or to receive a communication from anyone from the Center for Student Success. It's always with your best interest in mind. So that's my spiel. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Hannah. And last but not least, we have Cole.
All. I'm Cole Eskridge. I use they them their pronouns, and I'm the Director of Accessibility Services here at Point Park University. One of the things I love about this field is that we get to do a little bit of everything, because folks' disability experiences impact them in all sorts of ways once they get to college. Our goal is to work with you as a student to figure out a plan that gives you the same opportunity as everyone else coming onto our campus. So whether that means a situation you find yourself with class or some concerns you have going into certain classes, please come and talk to us about that. If you have concerns when it comes to certain housing or student life concerns, we also collaborate with folks over there. Please come and talk to us about that as well. You know, even if we're not able to accommodate in that very moment, we do have processes in place to support you moving forward, so that if opportunities arise in the future to connect you with certain options, we can at least have a record of that and to keep folks informed in a queue in that sort of a way. We also help folks who might be working on campus, for example. If you're doing an on-campus internship or you're in a program that requires a lot of engagement time on campus as well. And if there are ways that you might be impacted because of your disability identity, that's certainly a reason to get connected with us. Angelo has been so kind to direct you all in the chat to the link to our website that says how you can register with our office. as well as a direct link to our accessibility registration form. These are the quickest way to get in touch with us. And those are the ways that those are the conversations we prioritize, because those are the folks who typically reach out to say, hey, I have some disability related context and I want to talk to someone about it. It's also where if you have documentation from the past, you can upload that to that form. That's a great way for us to have that to build you a profile with our office so that we can keep that on hand to help inform some of the reasonable accommodations that you may be eligible for. However, before passing things off, I always want to emphasize that regardless of whether you have documentation or not, if you feel that this might be something worth exploring, please just go and submit this application regardless, because that is the way that you'll get the link to our appointment calendars that we can get you in. And we'd rather talk about your situation and see what supports we might be able to give you or other colleagues on campus we can connect you to who may be more appropriate in that moment, while we come up with a plan or action items to find documentation somewhere or to document it in some other way. So the TLDR, the too long didn't read or too long didn't listen, the TLDL is fill out that registration form and we'll be in touch with you shortly to set up that meeting to talk about options and to really tailor and figure out supports that could be helpful to you in your specific context, whatever that might be.
Thank you so much, Cole. That's really great information. And as Cole stated, I have linked both the registering with accessibility link and the registration form in the chat. So definitely go and check that out. And I think that there's one common thread that we can all kind of pick up from hearing from all of our friends in the Center for Student Success, and that is that they are, first of all, extremely supportive, but they are a bridge to many other areas of the university as well. So with tutoring, it's a nice bridge to the faculty and professors and linking with the curriculum and understanding. With Hannah, it's a link to really across everywhere, from getting you with counseling if that's something that you need, getting you back into the classroom, and with Cole, anything from accessibility to support and connecting you with other areas like student life. I think that there's a big connection there between Cole's department and student life. So love the synergy, my friends. And that's what Point Park's all about. So now that we've gotten this formal stuff out of the way, we want to have some fun. We want to let you all go and start asking some questions that we can answer for you. And really, there's no restrictions. Obviously, we have the experts here in accessibility, tutoring, and student intervention, but ask away. A lot of us have been at the university for some time, and just outside of that have a wealth of knowledge in a lot of areas in the higher education space. So to reiterate a few things, number one, if you want to ask a question, you can do so in the questions tab in the GoToWebinar control panel. Everybody who asks a question, only I am going to see who's asking it. I'm not going to put the name out there as we talk. We're just going to all learn from the question and from the answer as well. So hopefully that makes you feel a little bit more comfortable. And we have about 35 minutes, so we'll run through this as much as we can. We do have some questions, so let's start diving in. I have a 504 plan transferring over from high school. Who would I send that information to? This feels like a general question. Molly, is that something you want to tackle?
Coles.
That's actually a Cole question.
New
There we go.
question.
Thank
you. If you have a 504 plan, then that is great documentation for you to attach to an application that we link to in that chat. If you have that handy, please feel free to submit that now, upload it there. Often too, if folks don't have that readily available, I still will direct them to put in that registration form so that we can just go ahead and have the meeting on our calendars already. And then folks will even follow up with me following that meeting via email, and then we'll upload that to the profile then. So if you have it now, if you have it ready, I totally invite you to submit that application, and then that way our system will follow up within the next business day or so with the links that you need to set the appointment and meet with me and talk more about what that might mean for you during your college time here at Point Park.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cole. We're getting some more questions popping in, so keep them coming and we'll just keep going. Michael, this one's going to be for you. What is embedded tutoring? Can you expand on that a little bit?
Oh, okay. So the tutor's more or less embedded in the class with the instructor. The tutor has worked with the instructor before. Often the tutor will go to the class and sit in on a few sessions, but not every session. But it's that tutor is specific for that class and that subject area and those students. So that's what embedded tutoring is. It's like embedding a tutor into the course. I guess that's the most simple way to explain it. And Gwen is
Awesome.
there for biology. I know that. That's a big one.
Yeah, I also wanted to add a little bit of our philosophy behind that. So one of the things that we recognize, especially over the last couple of years and in the way that asking for help has been disrupted by nature of living through a pandemic. And so embedded tutoring is really a way for us to start introducing and bringing services. So often one of the reasons that students don't receive services is because, of the fear of asking for help or crossing a threshold or, being in a foreign space that seems like it's for people who are struggling or there's a stigma associated with it. We really want to destigmatize all that we do and help you to understand that this is all part of the way that we operate as a community. And so part of the way that we introduce you to services is to make sure that we dispel some of that fear, that the tutoring isn't just for people who are struggling, but rather the tutoring spaces are occupied by students and staffed by students who are unbelievably successful and who are successful in spite of a lot of different circumstances that they bring to their college experience. So, we really are trying in the work that we do to make sure that we get as close to you in the places that that you naturally habitate, whether it's within the classroom spaces, in your living spaces, in your student life spaces. We want to make sure that the experience is one that you all have access to, but also that you feel supported, not just academically, but with the understanding that this is a time of tremendous development and that the development of students within the last 5 years is distinctly different from students in 10 years ago. And we're ready for that. And that's part of the beauty of a small institution like Point Park. And it's certainly part of the growth of how we've been able to bring services to students. So I did also want you to know that all of us in our support roles, whether it's working with your CSS coordinator to complete your schedule, working with Cole or Michael and Michael's tutors, connecting with Hannah, all of those resources are available to you either in person or remotely. So we do understand all of the ancillary costs associated with coming back downtown and pursuing an education on an urban campus. We also understand that our students are juggling a million different things. So our students work a ton of hours, they're involved in campus activities, they're student athletes, they hold positions in clubs and organizations, etc. And so part of the work that we do is really about making sure that you do have access, regardless of what your situation is, to the resources that we have on our campus.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for all that information and great question. We have a lot of really good questions in here. So let's keep this going. Are there resources to help with science studies for non-STEM majors, such as English majors taking a science course? So it's like a two-part question. I think that might be a Michael thing.
Yeah.
The other one is, can we change or drop the course during the first semester? So Michael, I'll let you tackle as much of that as you want.
Okay. So yeah, sure. If you're an English major and you're having issues with the science course, we have peer tutors on hand and professional tutors on hand to help you with that. We're here for you. So even, how I said we can't cover every course. when I introduce you to the program, I'm going to show you really quickly in orientation how you can see the courses that we cover during that semester. If you have a course that's not on that list, you can email me directly and I'll put the word out and try to find somebody to help you with that course. If all else fails, I would suggest that you meet with your professor during his or her office hours, because that time is set aside for that. But yeah, we definitely can help you with a science course. If you're, writing heavy, a writing heavy student and afraid of science, we're here for you. My suggestion is to get to us as soon as possible. If some of you out there are nervous about your schedule and you have some classes that historically have caused you trouble, say a math class or a science class or whatever, I would suggest that you pair up with the tutor at the very beginning of the system and be preemptive about it, instead of, and it's okay if you do this too, around midterm time, a lot of panic sets in because you have those big midterm exams. So if you can get there, the earlier the better, the better the results you will have. But trust me, you'll have great results too if you come at the midterm point. The point is just come and see us. We'll help. And then it's in terms of, can you drop classes for what was the second question? I can start it. Maybe Molly can finish it because I used to be a CSS coordinator.
They asked, can we change or drop the course during the first semester?
You can. You want to take that, Molly?
Yeah, I can take that. So the way that your first semester schedule, and I understand that we have both freshmen and transfer students on the call. So as a freshman student, we have an 8-semester sequence that's laid out for each of our majors. So we really do have a good understanding of what you need to be taking in what semester to ensure that you're able to graduate, the goal being 4 years. So, and as a transfer student, you kind of jump into that plan depending upon what transfer credits you brought in from your previous institution. So that's really our commitment to students and families, that we can get you to graduate so long as you're making academic progress, you're relying on your resources, you're waving a hand to Michael saying, yeah, I know based on my high school experience that, I dread every single math course that I'm taking. Like, you know yourselves as learners. So I also wanted to kind of wrap in this other question that I see from somebody in the chat as a parent. These resources are available to you at any time. What is recommended and what is the most beneficial? As a parent to parent, I do understand that this is a time, and we embrace this and we support this, where students are transitioning to their adult roles, and especially students that have a disability experience, they are used to a different type of support and a different type of intervention with their families and with their school districts. What we're trying to do is to just acknowledge that, while we want to support you to the point that you are independent and that you're making whatever choice that might be, it really is important for us to have the documentation and the paperwork in place, especially for accessibility resources, right? So one of the differences between high school and college is that the accommodations go into place at the moment when those are sent from our office to your faculty members. So, I know that we have a lot of students that say, hey, I want to start fresh and turn the page, and I'd like to try this without. Our recommendation is that you have the documentation in place, that you're in communication with your faculty. And if you decide in that first semester, like, hey, I don't need this, I'm feeling confident and successful, things are going well, that's your choice. We encourage you to mobilize that choice. Our concern always is that you end up, if you don't mobilize that choice early enough, and you aren't affiliated with our office, that there's a delay in getting that information out. And we certainly want you to feel supported as early as possible, in the process. The same holds true with tutoring, right? So like, you know yourself as a learner, you're not suddenly horrified of taking math. You've likely been horrified of taking math for some time now. So when that class is scheduled on your schedule, you can't put it off in perpetua and forget that it exists. You'll have to take it at some point. But during the semester that you're scheduled to take that particular class that's horrifying you, affiliating with tutoring services and getting those supports in place early in the semester as kind of an additive support, as opposed to something that is, you know, a necessity, is always the most impactful way.
Awesome. Thank you, Molly. And I think that this is an expansion off of that question that you were referring to. There's a parent that's asking if some of this information will be discussed during orientation Pioneer Experience. I know, Michael, you'll be present there. Hannah, Cole, do you have any exposure during orientation as well?
I think I will this year, maybe.
It's very brief, but we're going to make sure that that students and families have something in hand, so that in our various parade of all of the things that we do at Point Park, it's a very busy, very busy time. We want to make sure that you have some names and contact information in hand, so that you can make yourself available to us at any time during the semester.
And then I just want to add briefly, we're starting with Canvas. Some of you may be using that already in high school. I think high schools use it. I'm not sure. I think so, yeah. And there'll be, information will be a click away in that particular program. And you also have Point Park's main website where you can quickly find who to contact, or a page that gives you the information you're looking for. But during orientation, we will be presenting. It is brief, and I'm trying to figure out how to do the TikTok version of, you know, and I think I have it down. I think I have a little skit down for 5 minutes, so everybody knows how to register and knows how to use the system. It's very user friendly. To schedule an appointment, it's simple. It's simple. Mm-hmm.
And there will also be some opportunities while your student is here on campus during orientation to branch off and meet some of the departments, whether it's on the academic side, the staff side. So if there's like something very specific and pertinent, they could definitely branch off. They're also going to be paired with a Pioneer ambassador who is a student leader on our campus that's going to be in like small groups of 10. And they can always link up with their Pioneer ambassador, PA, we call them for short, and they can help get them over to the Center for Student Success or link up with any support system on the campus. The last part of the question, and then we're going to move on to some others, is will this video will this webinar be available outside of this live setting for people to watch? And the answer to that is yes. This is being recorded. It's going to go up on the CSS YouTube page, and you will all get a link to this video after the webinar concludes and it uploads in our system. So just keep your eyes out for that. And that also brings me to one other thing I just want to mention and drop it right now. Whenever the webinar is over, and we still have 20 minutes, so add your questions and let's keep this party going. But at the end of the webinar, there will be a survey that pops up for you. There's 3 questions, and it's really to do 2 things. One, to help us do better with these webinars in the future, to just support you and love you and give you the information that you need. And the second is you'll have the ability to ask us another question in that survey. So if you didn't want to do it in this live webinar, totally get it. If you want to ask something very specific and private in that survey, you can do that as well. So please take a couple minutes to do that. Let's move on here. This next question, I think, is definitely going to be something that maybe both Michael and Cole will have to talk outside of the webinar too and provide some support. But I think that this might just still be good to get some information for others who might be in a similar situation. So how can we find a one-on-one tutor for my daughter who has a language processing disorder? We would like to find someone as soon as possible who has specific experience or training in working with students with language or auditory processing disorders. And then they want to find somebody ideally before classes start. So again, this is specific, and we'll link up with this particular individual outside of this. But is there like a more general way that you would advise people in this particular situation, friends?
I'll let Cole take that, because that starts with accessibilities and the accommodations you can get for the questioner's daughter. So Cole, if can I just, yeah, right? Okay.
So, as far as finding someone who is a tutor who has specific training for folks who have various language processing disorders, we do not have that specific of a support designated. However, to Michael's point here, you know, if the student would like to come and meet with me to talk about concerns they have in their classes, given the fact that language is an essential component to any of our courses, and that obviously will create some tensions in a lot of these classes, then I really encourage them to follow that link again to fill out that registration form and meet with me and talk about what those concerns are, because there might be some supports we can put into place that will help ease the barrier that they are experiencing, or even remove the barrier that they could experience coming into some of these classes themselves. As far as you know, other academic supports, I think that that is where some of our other colleagues in perhaps tutoring academic coaching could be of assistance. But to my knowledge, we don't have folks employed on our campus who have that specific type of specialty. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't folks within Pittsburgh at large who also have that specialty. And I would encourage you to perhaps search some of the local resources for folks who do provide that support for folks who have that disability experience themselves as well. That would be some of my best advice in addition. Also, please feel free to reach out to me via email if you do think that that might apply to you, your student as well. We might have some connections with folks that we might be able to connect you with to kind of explore some of those options off campus if you are looking for someone who is a specialist with that very particular skill set to assist your student. But otherwise, I'm also a huge proponent of academic coaching and our team over there and their ability to work with any of our students who are enrolled on our campus as well.
Some of what we have, I would say, offered in the past, there could be some of what might benefit a student could be things like, you know, recording a lecture or getting lecture notes or having some different access to some of the course materials. So those are the types of things that we do continue to provide that may mirror some of what has happened in the K-12 space. So those are things that note takers, et cetera, that we would be able to provide if it made sense through our Office of Accessibility Services. And again, right, like, so the other piece of this is really learning some of the tools and skills to dissect what happens in a college classroom. And so this is where you really see a partnership. And it's really the beauty of the CSS space is that there is such synergy and overlap between all of the elements of your academic and experiential time here at Point Park. And so we really do work hard to connect the dots, not just within our space, but across campus to make sure that we're getting you whatever the maximum that we can provide through our resources to make sure that you're successful at Point Park.
Awesome. Thank you, Cole and Molly, for all that information. And I just want to reiterate, like, it's really nice to have the services and the forms and like the registration stuff for accessibility. And I just want to encourage people to go to those links and submit the information to start creating the pipeline to have these conversations and to get the support you need, definitely. So thank you both for that information. This next one I'm going to just take briefly and anybody else can weigh in after. Is there a way to know more about working on campus or work study? So first of all, when it comes to work study, I'm going to put it in the chat here in a second. You're going to want to reach out to Ashley Bruder. She is awesome. She's in the human resource department, and she is the person who focuses specifically on federal work study. I think the best way for you to go and get information on eligibility, on things like that, is to go talk to her. But essentially, if somebody is qualified for work study, there's different like job listings throughout the university and the different departments. Students can interview for these positions, and once they're in, then they work to that specific job's responsibilities. I personally, in the Office of Student Conduct, I have had a work study student, the same one, for the last 3 years. It's an awesome program that I support and encourage you all to go and talk to Ashley to figure out the nuance to all of that. When it comes to working on campus, I don't know if anybody wants to weigh in on this. I mean, I know that like a popular avenue is through some of our dining services and things like that. And then we also have an amazing, I think, amazing career readiness department. And so I would strongly encourage you to go and talk to them because there may be opportunities right on campus or like literally right off campus. I'll put all that information to Federal Work Study Ashley Bruder and the Career Readiness Center in the chat here in a second once I get the next question out there. But does anybody else have any other advice or anything like that in that space?
I know with federal work study, this year, students are allowed to work 8 hours a week. And so, because your academics come first, so they want you to focus on that. We do hire in the tutoring center, but for your freshman year, we very, very rarely hire a freshman tutor because the focus is to have you have a successful transition and to be successful in your academics and everything beyond your academics, your social life, your whatever. It's not just academics here with CSS and with tutoring services and accessibilities and with the gang here and beyond. So we do hire peer tutors. You have to be at least a sophomore. So there are jobs available there. We have, students graduate. So this year I'm actually hiring, I think about 6 tutors before the beginning of the semester. So there is a potential with tutoring services. But as I said, this first year, focus on, becoming acclimated to the university and doing a great job.
All right, thank you for that. Let's dive into the next question. And before we do, just going to give a reminder, we're at about 12 minutes left. So we still have some questions we're going to run through, but please keep adding them to the chat. And Hannah, I'm not going to leave you out, okay? We got a question for you. You've been a little quiet over there, so we're going to get you going.
All right.
This question is based off of, I think, what you were saying a little bit earlier. Somebody's looking for clarification on who they go to if they're in need or interested in counseling or therapy. They want to know if they go to you or where do they go. Can you explain a little bit more that relationship that you have with the counseling center and how you may or may not refer people to that department?
Yeah, thank you. So if you come to me and say, I need help managing, whatever, it doesn't, people think, I need to go see a counselor for one specific reason, or therapist, whatever you call them. But this is an open space for you to just go and, express what you need to. So if you come to me and say, I'm struggling with this or that, I can make that referral to the counseling center. So I will just send an email to Cassie, who is our director, Cassie Mofa. I send an email to her and I just say, hi, this student would like to connect with counseling center, and she will then send you an email to set up a time to do an intake with them and then begin counseling services through one of the counselors there. If you don't want to come to me and do it that way, that's totally fine. You can go directly to the counseling center as well. And anywhere that I send referrals to on campus, you're always welcome to go directly to that office. But I do understand that can be scary sometimes, especially if you don't know and you've never met with people in those offices. It can be a little intimidating. So sometimes students don't feel comfortable just going directly to, or they don't even know where to go to for the different supports that they need. So just coming to me and sharing what you're struggling with, I can kind of game plan where we can look to for resources for you. So I hope that answers the question. You're more than welcome to go to the counseling center, but I can also kind of give you that plug too.
And something else to say about the counseling center. First of all, I speak that area's praises. Cassie, the director of the counseling center, she's been here for around 2 years and is doing amazing. Like, for real, I can't speak higher about that department. So if you're somebody that feels like you could really benefit from having a conversation, please go, please go and talk to them. They're actually moving their location. So I don't know, I'm sure things are being updated on the website, but just to let you know, they were formerly in the student center on the 3rd floor. They are now moving to the 5th floor of Lawrence Hall. So there's going to be a lot of information and marketing and signs pointing people to that direction, but they are moving to the 5th floor of Lawrence Hall. So definitely go and check that out. Molly, did you want to add something?
I just want to jump in really quickly just to be very clear and very transparent about counseling services, not just at Point Park, but just in higher education, and what we're able to do and what your expectations of what we're able to do might be. So one of I think the things that we do the best, and I think that Cassie, who oversees the University Counseling Center, we call it the UCC, is phenomenal at is, and Hannah as well, is really getting students to understand and take that first step, right? So it is the nature of the beast. This is the place and time where so many of our mental health concerns as we transition to adulthood just come to be. And so getting an understanding and an entree into mental health services is something that we do masterfully. I think that that's very different from those of us who are on the call, and I would consider myself part of that community. If you've experienced mental health challenges, if you've received treatment or you are currently receiving treatment, I would encourage you to maintain connection if possible, right? So if you have your person that has been so remarkable at supporting you through all of that's going on up until the point where your parental unit, guardianship, loved one, etc., is dropping you off at campus, let them be part of your life, because this is typically a little bit of a bumpy road, right? Like, so all of a sudden, all of the things that were once the responsibility of parents, teachers, loved ones, households, etc., are suddenly more and more the responsibility of students. And so with that comes a lot of things and a lot of feels. So if you are somebody that has that background, I would encourage you to remain connected. See how it goes. There are so many more opportunities to be connected virtually and maintain that level of contact. And so we've been encouraging students to do that to the extent possible. That's not to say you are not welcome here, right? So this is a fluid space in a fluid time. So that's where we're here with you today, is to say, yes, we absolutely can help you to get into a pipeline. We have what we would consider short-term care. So we are able to kind of help students to process for shorter periods of time some of what presents and appears during their experience. And we are also skilled, and Hannah is very skilled in this area as well, at getting students connected to resources that may not exist within the university, but are community resources. So it could be either or a combination of both. I will say that to all of you on the call, this has been our way of life for a long time now. And so we are very comfortable and confident and getting more and more trained as a campus community to identify students who are struggling and to ensure that they are put in the pipelines that they need to receive support resources. I'd also acknowledge that we do understand that an emergence of a mental health concern is often one that creates some ripple effects in a lot of other areas of life. So it's academic, it's social, it's happening in the dorm spaces, etc. We do allow students to then engage in our accommodations process through their affiliation and their connection to our university counseling services. So, you know, we understand that timeliness is of the essence in getting students the supports that we need. So I can assure you that we have a number of committees where we're looking not just in what we do specifically, but we're sharing what we know about students to make sure that we have a real understanding of who's struggling and that they are in fact connected to and using the resources that we provide.
Thank you, Molly. As we're trailing to about 4 minutes left, we've actually ran through a lot of these. There's 2 questions left that I want to get to. And if you still have questions, add them to the Q&A right now, and we'll make sure we follow up after if there are any that we don't get to. But piggybacking off of the mental health and counseling center question, somebody's asking, as a parent, if we're concerned about our child's mental health, can we call? Now, I'll jump into this real quick, and if anybody wants to expand, please do. But essentially, you would have to fill out a FERPA form, Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, to allow the counseling center to speak to you about your student's health. The same would go if you wanted to call the Center for Student Success and ask about your student's grades. The same would go if you wanted to talk to Cole about various accessibility needs. Same with Hannah and any intervention support that she would provide. So really, a lot of this is having a conversation with your student to see where their comfort level is. You know, they are coming into the university essentially as adults, right? Most are 18. I know we get some 17-year-olds right at the cusp of 18. And we treat them like adults. And obviously we have to follow law and things like that. So I just recommend that you have that conversation and fill out the forms. Now, maybe you don't have a form filled out and there's a crisis or a concern. There are times where parents will call like the student life office if they're a residential student, and we can do a wellness check. We just have to be a little creative maybe on how we communicate. We can't like confirm things with you, but we personally will go and check on your student, make sure they're okay, getting them the support that they need. And then again, it really comes down to you as the parent and your student having these conversations on those boundaries and comfort levels on these conversations. Does anybody have anything else to really add in that space?
Yeah, I do. So there are a number of different forms, and some of this information will come to you during the orientation program. So there are a couple of different things at play. The Federal Education Right to Privacy Act, FERPA, there are kind of 2 arms of that. One, which students love to give their parents, is the ability to pay the bills. So that is one permission that you and your student can work through, is whether or not you have financial access to their records. That is independent of your ability to view or to be part of a communication about their academic records. And parents get super salty about this. And we often hear, well, I'm paying the bills and, you know, therefore we can't do it. Federal law does prohibit us from disclosing any academic records unless the student has given permission for the parent to be part of those communications. That is very different from medical and or counseling interactions. So that is HIPAA. Those are medical records. You would not have an experience where the university counselor would reach out to a parent or acknowledge that their student is in fact receiving any sort of treatment on our campus, etc. And similarly, there is documentation in Cole's space that is protected medical information, because not every student comes to our campus in the exact same scenario. So, you know, while we have amazing, wonderful, supportive parents that are very much part of the student success plan, we have students who very much don't want their parents to be part of this for their own particular set of circumstances. So as support resources, again, that are here for the student first, we can help the student to first of all, provide them with those processes and the paperwork, but it's ultimately up to them as now considered adult on our campus, whether or not they decide to disclose any of these interactions that are happening on campus. And we are bound by law to make sure that we are respectful in those ways.
Thank you for clarification and expansion on that, Molly. And there's one other question, and I want like a 30-second elevator pitch on this, and then we're going to wrap this up to be mindful of everybody's time here. But there is a question I think is worth everybody hearing, is what is the University 101 course? Molly, can you give like a 30-second breakdown of that?
It's really about onboarding. So that course is really designed to get you to be acclimated to what it means to be a student, what it means to be a Point Park community member, and what it means to live, study, exist, work, play, etc. in the Pittsburgh community. And so we cover a lot of elements, everything from identity work and diversity, and questions about diversity, academic success skills, mental health, community engagement. So it's a really kind of broad ranging course that helps you to start establishing community within that first semester that you're on campus, and give you a guide in your faculty person to help you to navigate what is a whole new language and a whole new space.
Hey, nicely done. That was a nice, concise way to put it. All right. Hey, nicely done. And so with that, we actually have gone through all the questions that I believe are broad enough for us to answer in this webinar. I have messaged some people privately. I've taken down names and student ID numbers. I'm going to link you with these people and get responses and all that kind of stuff. We're going to be talking to you, and we're going to be seeing you very, very soon. So I just want to thank everybody for being here today. I think that this is like a big win. Like, put that like as a check mark on your checklist, like as a win, that you came here today to seek out this information, to start networking, and to get acclimated with the university and the support services. So thank you for that. Fill out the survey whenever this webinar closes, and 33 days until the semester starts, but we'll see you a little bit sooner as you enter for orientation. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks to the panel for being here today, and we'll see you all soon. Love you.
Talk soon.